Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Ek edition of At Home with George. Hello. Welcome everybody. This is an Ek edition of At Home with George. And aaj hamara topic hai is basically how to entertain hamara bachche this Ramazan, because this is a Ramazan like no other. We are not only in lockdown, but we are also fasting. And how can we entertain our children and not just shove them in front of the screens? Because that's the easiest thing to do. And joining us today and helping us to answer that sabse mushkil sawal is none other than Nina Naqvi, who is an architect from Toronto in Canada, but she is also the owner and designer of the CraftItKit.com, which is a kit designing company that designs beautiful kits that for children to build and design and make and entertain themselves. And we're going to bring her in now. So, Assalamu alaikum, Nina.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, George, for having me.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on the show so late at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is in Toronto. But,
yes, 2 in the morning.
So first of all, what I would like to ask you is, why did you set up CraftItKit.com? What was the purpose behind it?
So I set it up a few years ago, and my son was maybe 4 years old. And because we've been living in Toronto for quite a few years now, when he grew up a bit, I realized that there was a little bit of an absence in the market when it came to Ramazan and Eid. There was a lot of stuff for Christmas and Easter, and we did all of that. But then when I thought when he's getting a bit older, it would be nice to bring in the the element for Ramazan and get him excited about Eid and just introduce him to it, because it's obviously not so available here in Canada. At least it wasn't then. It's a lot more available now. So that was the main driving reason to start it. That's how it began.
It's interesting. I was having this discussion the other day. I think it was on the show actually, about how we are very good at sort of making Christmas festive, and a lot of that has to do with all the traditions around Christmas, the non-religious traditions of trees and presents and nutmegs and mistletoe and all of that. A lot of that was actually developed in the 19th century by Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol and all of that. And we're not very good at making Eid and Ramazan as celebratory, as festive, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think this is a fantastic way of making it festive. I grew up with advent calendars for counting down to Christmas, and this is essentially an advent calendar for Eid.
For Eid, yeah. So it's basically just to get kids excited. That was the whole reason why I started it, to just get him excited about Ramazan and then about Eid, and then taking this concept of the Advent calendar, like you mentioned, that's very like common in the West for Christmas. I adopted that version, but sort of changed it up a little bit. So I wanted to make it a point of learning as well. And the idea was that with every day, not only would he get excited, but he would learn about a quality or an attribute. So I basically have 30 boxes in this calendar that I had, and each box represents a specific attribute or quality, meaning a good character trait, whether it's generosity, whether it's kindness, whether it's tolerance. So just universal sort of traits that you look for and want to instill in your child, and which every religion really kind of is based on. So
Sure.
So every day, he would wake up and we do an arts and crafts activity that would reinforce that word. So that was the whole point of it. So it would not only create that excitement, but also make us, talk about certain and specific values that are important. So that I
think we have a little video that shows that. If I can just bring it in right now. This is, I think, gives you a taster of what this Craft It kit talks about. Let's have a look at this. Hold on. Great, that was lovely. So for example, resilience. Yeah, I saw that flash up on the screen. So what is it actually? What's in the kit for my child to learn about resilience, and how do I teach him resilience?
So resilience is actually a new one that we've added. So this year I just have to add that what I've done differently is because of Corona and because I wasn't able to ship the boxes, I made a virtual kit. And the virtual kit is basically a packet that you can download. After you buy it, you download it, you have like the paper supplies to put it together in your own home with your kids. And it becomes, again, a crafty thing to do together, to just put it together. And then the other element was bringing on bloggers on board. So online, I try to be active on Instagram. So I've made connections with a lot of other moms that are on Instagram. So I invited them over to talk about it. So every day, each blogger talks about a specific value. And this year was different because I did it for the entire month. So there's 30 days that's part of it. So resilience wasn't part of the initial kit. It is actually now a part of it. So I'm still sort of in the process of figuring out what a craft I'm going to do with the kids, because that's not coming on until later in the month. But I have a blogger who is going to be speaking about it, and she actually chose that word. And her take was that she had to switch countries. She's moved away from California to Jordan. And she thought that resilience was something that really got them through that change, because it was a huge change. So she's going to talk about her personal experience and what resilience means for her and her family. And when it comes to the craft, I'm still working on it, but it's going to be something that sort of, again, reinforces that word for children.
I think another word you can use for that, and I think there's a great TED talk on it, and it's something that I would like to instill not only in my children but in myself more, is grit. Grit, I think, is key to success in life, is that ability to keep your head down, and just when times are tough, as they are now, we just go through the tunnel and get the other side, and not allow the issues that are affecting us to blow us off course. And I think grit or resilience, whatever word you want to use in that respect, I think is a key to a successful life. But I think this is wonderful. Okay. But do you give us talking points about how we can talk to our children about love or resilience or gratitude?
So just to add on to
is that in the kit?
Yeah, there is. So in this one, the virtual one is a bit of a condensed version, because it's something that, I didn't want to overwhelm the parents with. And it's a small packet. Like, I don't include all the activities. So the idea is you get some of the activities in the pack, but then you follow us on Instagram, and every day I will add activities on my page. So you can follow along with your children of what that activity is. If it's not included in the pack, it will be on my Instagram page. So for instance, we did one for tolerance yesterday. I posted on my page, and what my children and I had done is we made like a little frozen globe, if you want to call it that. So we took a water balloon, we put in like different Lego figures and animals and little toys that they had at home, and we put in food color to make it blue, and we put in water, and then we froze it. So when it came out, it was like this globe almost. And the whole idea was that we spoke about was that all these. Sorry?
That was in a balloon.
That was in a balloon, yeah. So it came out almost pretty round and quite interesting. It was quite cool. And so when we took it out, we spoke about it, and we talked about how, this is our earth, and this is all of our earth, and whether it's the creatures that live here, whether it's the human beings, who all look different. So we purposely chose different Lego figures that look different. And we spoke about everybody belongs to this earth, and we have to live together, and we have to be tolerant of different people and different ideas and different religions. And it was a good starting point to talk about it. So I see that it's seeping in somewhere even with my children. So I think it definitely helps them understand, and it illustrates it better in their mind what these intangible concepts are.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go to the comments section. Right, let's see. Okay, salam. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, George. Hi, George. Hi, hi. There were just everyone saying Happy Ramazan. Happy Ramazan. Thank you, guys. Happy Ramazan. Sindhu Aliyu says, Asif, okay, please make a video about how to decorate your house without buying stuff from outside and how to make beautiful decorations with craft. So yeah, I mean, obviously one thing that we've learned from this lockdown is we don't need so much stuff. This whole capitalist system that we lived in, where we were working silly hours in order to earn money, in order to buy things that we didn't really need, when a lot of the stuff is as simple as sitting down and playing a game of cards with our children, or drawing a picture on a pad of paper. We don't need to get them the latest Xbox or the latest PlayStation 4 or whatever the games are. And it's really about going back to basics, isn't it?
To basics, yeah.
And so what are you doing with your kids that has changed in the lockdown?
So yeah, like back to basics, being at home, working with whatever we have at home, all the supplies and things that I've had at home, we try to make use of those. So even with the crafts that I try to show on my page, it's very basic. It's not that you can substitute these things with whatever you have at home. And it's really just utilizing what you already have and doing my crafts again are very simple. It's not that you have to go out and buy things. At least that's not the intention. So a lot of times when you have
going back to Asif's point, what can he use to decorate his house without buying stuff from outside?
So just like even just making a little corner in your home, like we've done it here behind me. So I had these are all things that I've had at home. So some things that are like stuff that I brought in from my children's room. The banner is part of my advent calendar. So I've reused that every year. You could always just create it at home, make it with your children. So create these little decor items that you make with your kids and then put them up. So all the arts and crafts that we've been doing, we've been hanging them up, is even wall art, putting it up as Ramazan decor. So it's really just about creating and crafting whatever it is like that you want to do with your children, and just using that instead of going out and buying new things and making it look picture perfect. Right.
We've got the Wanderer. Hello, Nina. It's really surprising to see you here. I'm Imran from Arcop, Karachi.
Arcop, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
What's Arcop?
Arcop is an architecture firm actually in Karachi that I worked at for a couple of years. So when I was living there, I worked there.
Oh, how funny! So So when did you move to Canada?
I moved to Canada in 1999. Actually, I came here for university. So I studied at university, and then in 2006 I moved back for a year just to Karachi, and then I moved to Toronto in 2007. So right. I've been here pretty much since 99 with 1 year in the middle as a gap.
Right. Okay. And so, okay, what else can we learn from what to do with our kids?
So the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is why I kind of decided to do this virtually this year, is that the reason to bring it virtually online is I wanted to raise some funds and actually donate this, whatever it is that I can bring in because of these virtual crafted kits, and donate it to people who have been affected by COVID, especially, and that means daily wage workers. So I've in fact decided that instead of that, I'm going to be donating to a charity organization over here called Smile, and they work with children specifically, and children with special needs. So they do all sorts of things for families that have children with special needs, and especially during Corona, during this quarantine, they've been helping families who need funds to buy devices for their kids, because that's how now learning is happening. All the schoolwork is happening online. So sometimes with 2 or 3 children, it's hard to have those devices or to afford them. So they help with that. They help with food. They help with bringing medicine. If there's like single moms who cannot go out, they go out and volunteers will go out and physically get that stuff for them. So the intention behind it is also to obviously create this excitement and happiness for Ramazan and Eid, but also help people and try to help people by donating whatever it is that we can. And this is my little way of doing it. So this is kind of the driving force behind bringing it online.
Great. And so just tell us about it. We go on to craftitkit.com and we download. It's $15. 15, is that US dollars or Canadian dollars?
Canadian dollars, yeah.
So that's about 2,000 rupees.
2,000 rupees, yeah.
And the proceeds of which will go to Smile, which is a charity looking after children with special needs.
That's right. Yeah. So
children in special needs in Pakistan or in?
No, this is actually in Canada. But you know, if I'm able to raise enough funds, I would love to be able to contribute it to somewhere in Pakistan also. In fact, yeah. So I am looking into that. It really depends if, you know, I'm able to raise enough that I can do that, because 100% of it is going to be donated, but it also depends on how much I'm able to raise, obviously.
Sure. Nina, your page in YouTube, please. I don't think Nina has a YouTube page. But
no, I don't.
It's, as I say, it's, hold on, it is, I've got the thing up here. It is craftitkit.com, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/craftitkit. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, the Facebook one, you're correct. The Instagram one actually is craft, and then there's a dot. So it's craft.it.kit. So it's a little confusing, but it's craft with 2 dots in the middle.
Insta is craft.it.kit.
Yeah.
Kit. Okay. And Facebook. Okay, I'll just add that. So check out Insta here.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Nina? Farah says, Nina, we've been following your Ramadan countdown on Instagram. My kids love it. You have such great content on there. Oh, that's fun.
Thank you. Thanks, Farah. Thanks so much. Yeah, Farah is actually a really good friend, and she is a blogger that's on the panel. So she will be talking about equality soon in the next couple of days. So definitely watch out for that.
So I'm not quite following how this works. So I download the kit. I make the sort of the advent calendar. Each day has a different word, and then I go online with my child and hear the blogger, in this case Farah, talk about equality. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like, I don't know if you can see, but behind me, I put it up on our mantelpiece, and
right.
It's basically little squares of different colors, and they all have words on them. So that's your advent calendar in this virtual pack. And then, so that is the idea, that you go and you see it every day. And then once you're done with that, you flip it over, and it basically becomes a puzzle at the end. So the color that you see, if you flip it over, it becomes a piece of an illustration. So it's almost like a puzzle piece. So that's what you're doing physically at home. And then there's also like 5 or 6 activities that's included in the pack that you get physically printed out at home, and you do them at home. But then in addition to that, when you go online and you go to see what the blogger is speaking about, not only do you see it from a different perspective, but you can also follow along with what craft they're doing with their children. And if they're not doing a craft, I'm doing a craft with my kids on my Instagram. So you get to see a couple of different ideas and a couple of different things that you can follow along with.
Great. And how are your children responding to this? Was there initial resistance at all, or did they?
They've done it a couple times in the past. My son has. This is the first time really that my daughter's engaging and understanding. But one sort of mom win, as I call it, that I was actually telling my friends the other day, that I think has to do with this calendar, was my son he's learning the piano. So he was playing the piano, and I said to him, oh, you know, you've done such a great job, and you were really good at this piece that you just played. And even earlier today, I saw that you were doing something, and it was really good that you were doing this. But you know what's most important, even above and beyond that? And he just looked at me and he turns around and he's like, to be humble, right? And because we had learned about humility right before that. So, you know, I thought that that was really, you know, that really hit home for me, that it's seeping in somewhere, and he's learning it. So that was a really nice sort of reinforced, kind of nice pat on the back.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful that he's learning that so already at such a young age. Judy has written in saying, exploring the limitations of tolerance interests me. Tolerance versus acceptance or inclusion. In my experience, kids really are, I presume it's really are that. What do you all think? What about privilege? Some of us have the ability, time, money, etc. to buy and do crafts. Many more do not. So what do you think about that? Is this about privilege? Is this something that we can, I mean...
So I didn't quite understand the question. Is it more that...
Well, I think
tolerance?
She's saying exploring the limitations of tolerance interests me. Tolerance versus acceptance or inclusion. In my experience, kids really do that, I suppose. What do you all think? What about privilege? Some of us have the ability, time, money, etc. to buy and do crafts. Many more do not.
Okay.
I think it's tolerance at what point? Because eventually tolerance becomes, how hard does tolerance become? Yeah, do you tolerate everything and everyone, or do you tolerate?
Yeah.
Because if you're truly tolerant, you tolerate the intolerant, I suppose. That's what she's talking about. How far the limitations of liberal, democracy allow, freedom of speech and freedom of debate and tolerance, or do you then stop people from spewing hate and so on? I suppose that's what she's talking about. And when the second part of our question is, what about privilege? Some of us have the ability, time, money, etc. to buy and do crafts, and many do not. And I suppose that's the case here in Pakistan. But I think it's about actually being imaginative. I mean, you can, there is a lot of trash that we throw out and that we can use to repurpose for craft making, I suppose.
So just like taking that into two parts of that question. In fact, today, one of the moms, she's a blogger from Karachi, in fact, and she spoke about tolerance, and she kind of did touch on that, where, you should be tolerant, but when it comes to sort of universal kind of truths, if you want to call it, whether it's, that you should be kind to children, and that's something that I think everybody could agree with. So if some parents feel like they want to hit children, then it sort of becomes a little bit of a gray line, but that doesn't mean that you should tolerate everybody in the sense that you accept it, but it sort of also opens up this idea of having constructive conversation about it, so that you can in fact tell that other person what your side of the opinion is and have a positive outcome. So it's not about necessarily tolerating or intolerating and coming up to this decision of, okay, if you don't agree with this idea, you intolerate them or you just ignore them. It's sort of trying to come into this discussion where you can have a positive outcome. And then the second part of just, again, the side of privilege, like I mentioned, we are not going out to buy anything. We're trying to do whatever we have at home, and that's sometimes literally just scraps of paper. Some of it is just imagination, like you said, and a piece of paper and a pen. So they don't all require a lot of supplies, and that's not the intention of it either. It's supposed to be an all-inclusive, and the whole idea is to do it collectively as a community. So we bring in this whole idea of Ramazan being, again, a collective engagement for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, what this lockdown has forced us, is rather than rushing out and about, we are there with our family, engaging in those old-fashioned games. We are doing here board games with our children. We did a wonderful game called Consequences, which was a lot of fun, which is all you need is a paper and a pen, and what you do, you write down essentially a person's name. He said, where they are. He said, she said, how they met. And every time you write something down, you fold it and pass it on to the next person. So it becomes this sort of Mad Libs style.
Oh, yeah.
Fun. And then at the end, you read it out. It's very funny. So it's sort of Mickey Mouse met Mother Teresa in the park. And
yeah, that's fun.
He said to her, da 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 da. She said to him, da da da. And the consequence of this meeting was, you know,
whatever another person. Yeah, that's cute. Again, just a piece of paper and some imagination, really.
Yeah. Okay, we are going to bring somebody in now. Ossus, hello.
Manemla ofufuefuefue onye twenyefe ogbemogbe musas.
Oh, sorry, Ossus. I didn't follow that. Did you follow that?
No, I didn't actually.
Sorry, he's dropped off now. Hi, Nina. Sean is written, absolutely, I love the concept. Do I need to watch your videos on Instagram after I've gotten the kit, or can I do either of them on their own, i.e. activities on their own and other activities from your Instagram video?
So yeah, there's two sets of it. Some activities are included in the pack, so you won't need to really watch any videos for that. There's instructions in the pack. So if you download those files, you'll have the instructions, and there's about 5 paper activities that you can do without getting online or watching Instagram videos. And in addition, if you wanted to, you could continue on and check in every day to see what the craft of the day is and follow along that way as well. So you could do it both ways.
Great. Thank you for that question, Sean. Any relation?
He's my brother, actually.
So we got questions from the guy from your previous office has written, we're all missing you here, especially Mahbub Khan and Yawa Jalani. I hope you'll be back to our cops someday.
Hopefully soon. Yeah, Mahbub was my previous boss. She's my ex-boss, and she is like a wonderful, wonderful person, and really somebody who embodies all of these traits, in my opinion.
So how to what extent has your architecture background informed your designing of these kits?
I think a lot of it, I spent a lot of time just figuring out the graphics of it to make it like visibly appealing, also like visually appealing, and also just bright and colorful. I don't know why I felt like with Ramazan and Eid, especially, whatever I would see in the market would be all kind of muted, all sort of the same sort of colors, the same type of illustration, and I wanted to change that a little bit. So that's why I've purposely chosen really bright, fun,
They are very kid-friendly. They look
kid-centric, yeah. So I think because of that, and then because of my architecture, I've been able to design it myself. I can do it on Photoshop myself because of the skills I actually have from before. So it has really helped me. It's a lot of work to get there for an architect. So I'm using it in a different channel, but I feel like I really enjoy doing it. So it's a bit of a labor of love for me.
Great. Well, thank you so much for appearing on the show. I know it's very late for you. As I said, if you want to find more about the work that Nina is doing and you want to download these kits, all the money goes to charity, and it is at craftitkit.com. And on Insta, you can join Nina at craft.it.kit. But Nina, thank you for taking the time to be with us today on At Home with George. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you get some rest.
Yes, I will. Thank you. I hope things get better in Karachi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Okay, so that was Nina. And if you have any questions, Nina, this is a brilliant. So Nina, if you're still there, it's Nina. This is a brilliant concept and very fun, interactive way to stimulate discussion with kids around important topics. Yes, that's true, Nadia. Thank you for that. Today, our show is all about how to entertain our children during Ramazan, because we've got the double whammy of being Ramazan and also being in lockdown. And how do we keep them off the dreaded screens? That's aaj hamara topic hai. And if aapke paas koi sawal mere liye or koi answers for this, please write in Abi, and join me, or you can join me on screen at this address. Let me just share you today's address. This is the address. Join me. I'll put it on the chat as well, so you have to click on either Chrome or Insta, and Chrome or Firefox, and you can join me for a chat. And tell me what you're doing aapka bacha ke saath in order to keep them entertained during the lockdown. Let me know. Abi. Look forward to hearing from you. As I said, we're doing sort of board games. We're doing this thing called Consequences. There are a lot of games that if you just look up online, they're really, really good. We're teaching my son card games, not poker or anything like that, but good card games like Solitaire, which he can play on his own, and obviously there's a digital version of that, but he should know how to do it the old-fashioned way with the actual cards. Yesterday we had a lovely game of Uno with the family. Again, a very simple, basic game, and it's about going back to basics. That's what we're all about at the moment. Anyway, so let me know your comments, your thoughts. What are you doing to keep your children entertained? I'd love to know. If I'm not hearing from you, I think I might wind up the broadcast. But thank you, Nina, for joining us today. And I will see you guys all. I'm coming back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a special Mehman. He is the CEO of Tapal Tea. We've got the CEO of Tapal Tea coming to join us and talk about how he is, fighting the coronavirus and how he is ensuring the survival of his business and the safety of his workers. So that should be a very interesting discussion there tomorrow. Until then, I will see you then. Khuda Hafiz. Bye-bye.